Canadians wanted freedom.
Yeah.
Carney would be campaigning on it and lying about it.
You think so?
Yes, politicians lie.
No, they're like,
candidate.
no, fair enough.
Of course I would. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And they don't. That tells you something.
Yeah. They can get away with it.
That tells you that the voters don't want it.
Right. That scares the shit out of me, though, for the nation. Because it is just on such a downfall. The reason I'm bringing it up, and I'm trying to understand it a little bit more, is because we're seeing inflation numbers around 79% on like the...
That's not 79.
On coffee, on like...
You mean coffee's doubled over a year?
Oh my God. Yes.
Year to year, it's almost doubled.
If you take a look at the polls, they just put these polls out talking about next year, Canadians are expected to spend over $17,000 on groceries alone from the $8,000.
No. Doubling over in 1 year?
Listen,
you listen.
I just wrote a Substack on it. I just wrote a bunch of stuff on this, and I've got like 3 more coming out.
No, hold on.
They had a whole... It's under We Canadian. Let me find it.
What? Oh my God. Oh, 28%. That's not nothing.
No, it's not nothing. But there is an actual poll that it's called We Are Canada. They're a page that we work with and stuff like that. That has data. And they take all the data and they put it into, like, say, Instagram-y type polls. But Canadians, like...
Oh my God, look at that, right? Price doubled in 5 years. Price doubling, see there?
Yeah.
From $5.36 to $9.30 in 5 years. Holy crap.
I guess that's why I'm concerned.
And here's the other thing, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No.
If he ran 2 banks, Bank of Canada, Bank of England. So this guy understands inflation, he understands finance, he understands economics.
Yeah.
So if he's doing this, it's by design.
This is my concern. So that's what I'm
clearly by design. This isn't like me or you, like we don't know how to run a Fed.
No.
It's like this guy has done it.
And I expect him...
Oh my God.
You're listening to 90.6 WBTC. WBAC, Winnipeg. Coming at you live every day at 90.6. You got to be kidding me. When I woke up today and I saw 90.6, that it pinged 90.6. It's like, what? I am in a simulation. We just talked about this yesterday. If I got to witness 90.6, 90.6 is becoming the new 88K. Remember how long we were in 88K for? Now, when you go back to that video there, the reason why I put it there, because people don't really know what's going on in Canada, or maybe they do. But inflation is so nuts. Here, now, we're not talking third world hyperinflation. We're talking about annoying, creeping inflation denial. So for instance, the coffee, I have first world experience with the coffee because I used to drink this coffee called Melita. Just, it wasn't high-end coffee, anything like that. It's just I particularly liked it. It had a little bit of I would get the regular bag and I would get the hazelnut. I'd mix it in. Just a hint of you don't want too much hazelnut or else it becomes, almost tastes like an aspartamic overtone. And when I first started buying it, I would only buy it when it was on sale, like a half price sale at $9.99 because it was usually $19.99. And for me, I was like, I'm not buying a bag of coffee for $19.99. That's crazy. It's crazy talk. So I would wait $9.99, just like ribeyes or Bitcoin. When the price cuts in half, I back up the truck and I buy a lot of it because I know its value, right? So when it goes on sale, this is the opposite of how investing works. So if an investor loved Melita coffee and it was $19.99 and it went on sale to $9.99, they'd say, I'm not going to buy it now. It's it went down in price. I'm going to wait till it's $19.99 to buy it. Anyway, so I would buy it at $9.99. And then it slowly started creeping up. And it was like, $27.99. I'm like, who the hell's buying this at $27.99? Somebody is. But I thought $19.99 was expensive. And then the sale price would come down to $14.99, and I'd be like, I guess. I mean, my only option is to make my own coupons with the flip thing and Adobe Photoshop, but who would do that? Anyway, $14.99, okay, I wouldn't back the truck up. I would just get enough to carry me through to the next, sale. And then it kept on going up, and then it got over $30. This is nuts. And so I kid you not, if you go to the superstore, but I don't know what the version in America is. It's Loblaws up here. On a normal day, Melita coffee is upwards of $40 with tax. And now the new sale price is $19.99. That is the back of the truck up, but I don't. It's like I don't even buy it, to tell you the truth. I don't buy Melita anymore because there is a tap out phase for anyone's likes and luxuries. And it comes down to sheer economics and common sense, right? Like at a certain price point, you're the dummy, right? And as long as we keep on sacrifice, like if you love coffee, you love Melita coffee, and you're like, I just love it too much, I'll buy it at whatever price it is, right? Well, then it's just going to keep on going up, and the only way to get the price down is to stop buying it, right? But that's assuming a lot. That's assuming we live in free market capitalism, where in Canada we don't. It's stated planned economy, right? So all the nut bars up here in Canada, they you can't blame them because they don't know what they're talking about, right? So like that video where he said he's an established Keynesian economist, like right there, that you got to do the Leonardo. It's Keynesian, right? It's just walled garden of planned economy. Has nothing to do with free market capitalism. So, I mean, I can fight it all I want, and wait for sales. Or, if somebody sends me a Photoshop version of a flip coupon that they doctored in Adobe Photoshop, maybe one of those. Otherwise, I'm back to like whatever's the cheapest. So like when I go to get coffee, I just look at the price. I don't look at any brand anymore. I'm void of brand. There is nothing I'm loyal to. I'm loyal to conserving as much fiat blood money to put into Bitcoin as I can, even though the price is also going down, which is the new position of advantage that we're all in. So it's almost like you have to switch your mind. You have to forget what didn't come. Did a massive blow-off top come in 2025? No. Well, it's time to get over it, right? The quicker we all get over it and start planning for this cycle, the more healthy we'll feel, because you're now in the planning stage. And I was thinking last night as I was going to bed, I feel like there's two versions of my Bitcoin journey. And I'm in the second one, but the first one was pre-2025. Right? So there's my Bitcoin journey pre-2025, and there's the new Bitcoin journey post-2025. And the two couldn't be more different. So for instance, pre-2025, there was an enormous amount of hope, right? Even in the depths of even like with all the exchanges collapsing in real time, Celsius, Luna, FTX, it really was a sky falling type of scenario. But the resolve for how Bitcoin survives this the hope was immense. You could feel it. It was tangible, right? Especially to the nutcases that we are. Dave Digital, Matty, I saw your take on Bitcoin not keeping up with inflation on Army Piper show. Will that possibly change due to scarcity, or is Bitcoin cooked in your opinion? We'll come back to that in a second. No, I don't remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, my two journeys, right? So we're on the second journey, and it's completely different. There's a certain degree of lost hope in a weird way, right? Like there's nothing changed about the value proposition of Bitcoin. However, in the advent of the new money, the institutional adoption, it has changed the rules and trajection, because we all know that they have levers that levers know not of, especially, us in the parallel system. We have our own levels of manipulation that we're in denial of. So we don't even know the other levels of denial of manipulation that we're even yet to be in denial about, right? Because we're just good little lemmings. We believe that everything is a fair game, right? It's fair. Everything's fair, right? The stock market wouldn't be manipulated or nefarious forces that are keeping, price up or down on things. That would never happen, right? That's how we kind of live. And that's the beauty of our naivety. Let's go back to this Dave Digital here. Matty, I saw your take on Bitcoin not keeping up with inflation on Army Peppers. Not keeping up with inflation. Will that possibly change due to scarcity, or is Bitcoin cooked in your opinion? Well, if you're referring to the Kager video, it wasn't really about inflation so much as just, the simple fact of a disappearing Kager. Okay, yes, that one. Yeah, that was about a disappearing. Like, my hopes of that video was beyond, being like 40 people watching it, was like it would change. It would be, people would poke holes in it. Like, I was hoping I was wrong on a lot of the math, as I always am. Like I hope I'm always wrong on most of the shit I talk about. So like I put it out there in hopes that, someone smarter than me would see it, run the numbers, do the math, and go, oh, right there, you're wrong there, right? So far, no one's really poked a hole in it. Now, could it still be wrong? Yeah, maybe. Maybe there's always like one little, a bunch of things that, we don't even know we don't know. But what's happening now is that the disappearing Kager, this is what, I actually went back and watched Army Piper's take on it. And it was kind of in line with what the video said. But the one thing that, at the end of the video, it said the worst part about it, or no, that not the worst part. The one thing that Bitcoin's never done to break this disappearing Kager is out Kager the past cycle, right? So even if you were to poke a bunch of holes in it, this time's different, money's coming in, well, we would still have to break the cycle to the upside, right? So that would be a novel Bitcoin run. So if we go from inception to 2013, 2017, 2021, 2025, we've never even repeated the Kager, right? So like if we go back to 17 to 21, that was 36% Kager, all-time high to all-time high. So part of the copium, which I also look at as a Bitcoin investor, like I want to know what the all-time lows are. What's a good time to back up the truck? But from Kager to Kager, all-time high to all-time high, 2017 to 21 is 36%. 2021 to 25 is 16%. I don't know what 13 to 17, but I would argue that it was double, if not more. So if we're talking about a 36% Kager, 2017 to 21, I would say 2013 to 2017 is probably upwards of 100%. All-time high to all-time high, right? We're not talking about the massive depths and then coming all the way back. We're all-time high to all-time high. So the facts of that is that we've never replicated the Kager. We haven't even matched it, right? We've always had a diminishing Kager. So for us to break that, so here's like on Army Piper, his probabilities for the next bull run was upwards of 220 to 250 or something like that. Now, the only thing that I would add to that probability is that in order for us to hit that, we have to replicate 16% Kager, because a 16% Kager from 126 to 2 is about 220 to 230. Now, I'm probably wrong on some of those numbers, but it's close. It's in that little goalpost window. So we would have to do a novel thing, which is replicate the prior Kager. Now you might argue, well, it's easy to replicate because it was a stinker, right? Maybe that is the anomaly. You know, we had a stinker Kager, right? Army Pepper, I love that you went to my show. Much love. Well, I mean, people here, like usually everyone knows Army Piper here. Like there's Army Piper is one of those channels that, you know, it's nothing but cold hard facts, right? There's no theatrics. There's no shilling. It's just the cold hard facts. That, like I wish that this community, this Bitcoin sphere, went back to that in a certain way. You know, because it's changed a bit. You know, and in order to keep up with the algorithm, you have to always be bullish, right? And that's just not who I am. Although I'm long-term bullish, right? I'm long-term bullish. But, you know, in the short term, and like, look, we're almost at 90.6 again. In the short term, you got to call what you see. And, you know, and it's not like putting 90.6 on a thumbnail is going to get viewers, right? But at this point, it's been so long, you know, the Bitcoin community itself, as far as like engagement's been down for so long. I don't really care. You know, I'm kind of hodling and shuddering in space, you know, in my little safety hut with my elbow pads and knee pads and helmet till you know it picks up again. If it picks up again, but back to the 220 to 250 upside next bull run. Now, when we throw those numbers out, this is why humans have a hard time with exponential growth and time, right? Those are our two handicaps. When we think about that number, it makes complete logical sense, right? And it feels good because like we can almost see it, but this is where humans trip up on exponential growth. We can 126, 250. Yeah, it's almost a double. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? I can see that happening, and we can all see that happening. We could all see price action going there. Now, when you open up the hood and you look at the mechanics, the path to 250 is through a 16% CAGR. And in order to do that, we would have to replicate a cycle. All-time high, all-time high. So for instance, we could do a couple of funny bone stuff. Like we could have a massive capitulation event down to, you know, 30 or 40K and then pump all the way back up. And then you'll have a different type of CAGR based on, you know, your lowest common denominator, which is fine. But it's not. I don't really look at that for a couple of reasons, because most people don't get in at the bottom because they're already petrified. Not here, not, you know, in, you know, these channels, like this channel, Army Piper's channel, you know, you will get a lot of notice as to when the rounded bottom is occurring. That's one thing that you can kind of guarantee, right? But it's information people probably will have tuned out by then. So if you think you don't see a lot, like, you know, that was going on in Twitter last week. Oh, there's no, what happened to Bitcoin Twitter, right? If you think it's a ghost town now, it's just going to get much worse in the next year, unless there's massive price upside, right? That will bring everyone back, and we're back, bros. We'll be back, right? Until the price does nothing, and then they're gone again. So there's a certain amount of patience / fickleness that's made its way into the Bitcoinosphere based on the disappearing CAGR. So most people don't know that, but they feel something else, right? So that the math and facts is a disappearing CAGR. Nobody really knows that. We all know that now, right? Thanks to that video and Army Piper magnifying the video. We know that there's a fact, but emotionally we feel it, but don't recognize what it is, right? So without knowing the math, but having the emotional response to it, we search for emotional answers to quench that, right? Well, maybe this will be different, and maybe, you know, we'll see this happening. And the truth is, there is a lot of upside to be had based on, I think someone said silver, Jesse Wilson, silver and gold. Yeah. That type of exponential growth, like when you think about the amount of money that went into gold and silver, like the market cap alone, the trillions would pump Bitcoin to $1 million. If we were to see that now, you could make a case that what happened this bull run happened to gold and silver. You know, the money went there, that we all, you know, we thought it was mathematically programmed to come into Bitcoin this time. But the good news is that that type of money can and will come into Bitcoin. But like I've been saying since Jan 1, we need the crisis, right? We need to DCA into the crisis for that to happen. And until that happens, we'll probably see stagnant or downside growth, because none of us, that's not true. What I was about to say, I was going to say none of us got in here out of luxury and speculation. And to a certain degree, that's not true. But for me, it was, because like ayahuasca and the plants calling you, you know, Bitcoin, the numbers call you, right? You are in search of an alternative. Usually, you know, you're not like just some noob that knows nothing about anything and just stumbles upon Bitcoin. I'm sure there's some, you know, I'm sure there's some whales that, you know, bought Pokemon in 2011 and became billionaires without even knowing it because they lost, you know, their keys or whatever. But most of us are here and have become adopters out of necessity. Like, I don't like the central banking system. I don't like the fiat wars that's created by fiat money printing. Like, there's reasons. There's a lot of reasons why most of us are here. There are very few reasons that are just kind of you tripped into it, right? So that being said, the crisis needs to be had for more people to develop a necessity for Bitcoin. And we see the necessity that the larger institutions saw for gold and silver. And now I still think that that's a front run for something major, which is probably a monetary collapse / bridge into the new one. We're overdue. We know the timing and the numbers on the monetary system itself is at its end. You know, we never really go, you know, usually not longer than 50 years, but when here we are at 100, you could say that, you know, Bretton Woods kind of cut it in half, right? Or the gold standard cut it in half, and we started a new one. Okay, well, even at that, we're still at the end of that stereotypical 50-year cycle. So something's happening, and I kind of think the gold and silver is a front run into what's about to happen, which is a crisis, right? And in any crisis, you're going to need the hardest sound money. And, you know, gold was my gateway drug into Bitcoin, right? The properties of gold exist in Bitcoin, but it's just a different version that is hard for the legacy boomers with their elbows up to kind of grasp on to, right? But they'll learn. They'll learn instantly when they can't get their hands on the gold that they've bought. And that's the crisis that maybe will be the eye-opener. And unfortunately, some of this legacy mindset will happen one funeral at a time. For instance, you know, these legacy boomer investors will die, and their kids will inherit it, and their kids will just be like, no, where's dad's gold? It's in Singapore. Sell it, right? Or convert it. I think that's possibly like a next technology we might see. Some smart cookie may develop like an instant gold to Bitcoin exchange that's just flawless, like that works through these third-party custodians, you know, whatever you want to call them, you know, whoever you're paying to hold gold, someone will, out of necessity, someone will invent a token, an app, an altcoin, a bridge of something to get it out for that next generation that doesn't want to deal with. Why would anyone want to pay? Everyone hates banks now. We're one fintech innovation away from never having a bank. You know, I'm one away. I'm like a check depositing away. I could do it on private, like if it was just me, if checks were made to me, I would be out of the banking system already. But when you have a business account or a corporation, it's harder to go work on exchanges. And if you've tried, you know, I got in on Gemini early on a business account, and because I don't think they were equipped back in that day, like we're talking pre-COVID, and then they did the analytics, and all of a sudden I couldn't use it, and I had to change all this stuff, and it wasn't recognized and everything. Mr. Dinkles, if we start seeing gold, silver pop to the downside, then you know everyone without Bitcoin is in trouble. Well, there's a couple of things that'll happen is that people will generally take paper profits from their gold. The one thing that is interesting about being a former gold bug is that I only exited to Bitcoin. I never exited physical gold for pocket money, so to speak, like selling an ounce of gold for whatever it was at the time, $2,500. You know, there was no converting to fiat. So I don't think that's on the books for most physical gold holders. I think if anything, they're waiting for that crisis to convert into something equally and more valuable like Bitcoin. But that will take the education of a crisis to occur. And if that doesn't happen, we're basically waiting for it, right? Are we going to see 90.6? Like we already did. Look at this. So we were talking about this yesterday, 90.6. Look at that, 90.6. Ping. And now that makes sense because we're at the 200 moving average. And I think we break the 200 average just because of no buyers, right? So whatever selling pressure. I mean, there's Michael Saylor buying thousands of Bitcoin, but that's on the OTC. So just forget about it. Like when you see that text or that tweet, that orange number, blah, 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 don't even look at it. It'll just piss you off because it's just done OTC and it makes no difference. So it's not like he's going to buy and the price is going to go up. It's not going to happen. You need retail to come in after they see a big purchase, but there's no crisis for retail to really understand. Army Piper, wait until U.S. government mandates silver like they did with gold years ago. Well, I've heard some stories where they've stopped. There's some countries where you can't even get physical silver. Now, remembering back in my day when I was a gold bug, I also had silver. The funny thing is that I want to ask my nieces and nephews because remember I was the crazy uncle giving bars of silver to my nieces and nephews for their birthday or Christmas. And I'm sure they don't have it because why would they care? So when I was giving them bars of they still wouldn't care because that generation, like let's say it's $100, that bar is now $100. They don't care. There's no. It's not like the '80s where if someone were to give you $100, it was like you won the lottery, right? You give a Gen Z or a Gen Alpha $100, they don't give a shit. What are they gonna do? Get some Roblox money? It's just not the same. But when I was handing them out, they were like $25, $29 Canadian, right? And I'm sure they thought, what the hell is Uncle Matt giving us these stupid bars of silver for? And now the truth is, even if they find it in their closet beside their karate suit and trombone, they still won't give a shit because they won't even know it's tripled or whatever it is, nor care. But I know I've seen a lot of posts where people can't even buy physical silver. And I haven't really thought about it. When I got out of it, it just got into Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's done a 5x better, at least, than gold. Gold would have to, for me to regret the position, and I'm almost scared to say it because I don't want to put it out into the manifestosphere. It would have to be like 25K. And at 25K, I'd be like, I've made a huge mistake. Now, 25K from here is about a 4x, 5x? Yeah, 5x. So gold went up to 5x. Now look at the 5x, the gold. We're talking about 200 trillion market cap, I think, if we were at 5x gold. Now, the good news is that when we see a market cap like gold, a big old, like the biggest market cap there was, right? Inflate like that. Can you imagine for one goddamn second the price of Bitcoin when we get that goddamn demand coming in? It's going to be so violent. It's going to rip your head off.
Make sure you like and subscribe.